Welcome to Stand By Please.
With me, Antonia Collins from the Bamboo Manager Project.
And me, Jackie George from Sharjah Performing Arts Academy.
In this podcast, we talk all things stage management. Join us and our guests as we try to answer the question, what is your stage manager really thinking?
Hello, Jackie George.
Good afternoon.
Here we are again.
I know. I feel slightly giddy today with excitement. I don't know why, because maybe it's a slightly different style of a podcast for us today. And we've been getting a little bit excited about what we're going to talk about in our prep, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, absolutely. And I think we both thought that maybe it would be nice to do a kind of slightly more fun, lighter-hearted one. A lot of our podcasts, quite rightly, have kind of tackled more serious subjects. Whereas today, we thought we would talk about our favourite bits of stage management kit. But I am going to put the disclaimer up very loud at the beginning to say that obviously, if you're employed on a show, your producer should be providing you with all the things you need. You shouldn't be, having to buy your own paper. That is not what we mean. But I think it's fair to say that everybody's got kind of things that they like and they like to have with them when they work. So we're talking about the things that make your life a little bit nicer as opposed to things that the company should be buying for you.
Today we're going to talk about those things that make our days a little bit smoother and a little bit nicer, happier, and just generally better, really. Little home comforts.
Yeah, and I think some of the things that are on my list are not cheap. So I am definitely not saying if you have just graduated as a young stage manager, you should go and buy one of these. I'm only putting them on there because they're things that I like to have with me, like you say. And we have, full disclosure, we have had a little chat in advance, haven't we, Jackie, about what's on our lists.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our listeners will notice that maybe we come from slightly different ends of the stage management spectrum.
But there's so many things we agree on, and we sort of discuss and we're on the same page in terms of style and ethics. But then we're so opposite ends of the scale in other things. Like I've got a little quiz for you later, but I won't say too much about that. Yes. But one of my things in my quiz, I was gonna, sort of throw in a nice site-specific outdoor show, only because I knew it might upset you.
I do not take a contract unless there is a mains plumbed-in toilet available.
I thought you were going to say unless there is a roof.
Oh no, I need a roof as well. So number 5 for me.
Yes.
Is my steel toe-capped boots. And I have been in lots and lots of conversations with young stage managers about whether or not they need steel toe caps and why would they possibly need them. And I just think it's simpler to pop a pair on and not lose one of your toes in all essence. But of course, as the years have gone on, I've tried several different versions of steel capped toe boots. No, steel toe cap boots. There we go. But I'm very pleased with my latest pair, which is why I thought I'd share them specifically, because they are all black and pull on like a Chelsea boot. So they're not, I can wear them in a scene change absolutely fine. And I've gone to the extra effort to find out what they're actually called. So I bought mine on Amazon, I know, but they're called Black Rock Dealer Safety Boot.
My number 5 is an erasable pen. And it's only because I might have a crazy idea, or I might scribble something down, or I might be, working in an old fashioned way in a hard copy of a cue sheet. And I might make a quick note when I'm doing a show about, that didn't go right, or I need to go earlier, or whatever it may be. And I know then I can rub it out.
So my number 4 is my trusty bum bag, or American translation, fanny pack. I couldn't tech without it. There's no way. There is literally no way. And I know some people like an apron. I've seen stage managers with aprons, but I'm just not an apron type of person. But I have 3 different bum bags. So I'm going to put them all in. Sorry, this is like room 101 now, isn't it? I'm putting them all in, except this is the positives, because I've got the huge one that I bought from a camping shop that it's like Mary Poppins bag, the big one. And, you can put all kinds of things in it. I can have my notepad in it. I've got my phone in it. I've got my pen. I can have spike tape. I can have my scissors. I've got the lot. It's just going to keep going. But obviously I couldn't wear that in the show because I would look ridiculous if I came on stage to do a scene change in it. So I've then got a show one, which I've got 2 different show ones. A show one that's actually kind of like slightly more glamorous, black. And then I've got a really totally plain back, more slimline one as well, if I only just need my phone. But actually I do need to make a new purchase, so I was just googling them now to see.
So in your show bum bag / fanny pack, what goes in there? Your phone, your pen?
My phone, my pen, maybe if I, depending on the show, sometimes you need to have gloves on, don't you, if you're moving scenery or whatever, but I don't want to wear them all the time. I'm afraid my reading glasses, because I can work without having my glasses on, but if I need to go and read something, then I've got to have them close to hand, or I've got to screenshot it on my phone and then make it huge. That is the other option available to me. Micropore, if I'm doing a musical, I've normally got mic tape in my bag just in case.
I have an amazing friend who I hope she listens to this, because she is well known for her bum bag and her large bunch of keys, and her bum bag has sort of just infiltrated every part of her life. So it's not even just a show bum bag now, it's just she wouldn't be who she is without her bum bag. And so much so we all have a bit of a joke with her, but she's really adamant and says, no, this is the way it is, it works, she's hands-free, and I love her for that. I did a show once. I don't do the bum bag thing, I must admit. I do have an apron. I feel like a bit of a nanny when I've got it on, so I can't really do that either. But we did a show not so long back, and it was immersive. We were on site, on location, and we had to dress up. It took place in a hospital. We had to dress up as nurses. So we were costumed rather beautifully in scrubs. And the amazing designer even sourced us the most comfiest trainers in the style of a nurse. And they were the most practical show clothes I've ever worn, because they had the biggest pockets. As you see nurses, don't you, in hospitals, they pull out everything out of their pockets. And I had like cue sheets in them, I had my phone in one, we had radios in another, pens. And the rest of the team, we were chatting and we said, we're going to start a campaign to make show blacks just black scrubs, because they are the best thing. They're comfy and they do the job.
I totally get that. I have just remembered another reason why the bum bag is good, though.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I don't always have a belt. So when I've got my comms, I've got somewhere to clip my comms pack onto the side of on the bum bag. So that's one of the other reasons why I like a bum bag.
Very sensible.
Thank you. I mean, I could have just done this entire thing on show blacks. You do know that, right? I am so specific.
That's all I'm going to say is it's quite fashion focused. Your top 5.
It's very fashion focused. Yeah, in at number 4, my bum bag. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 maybe isn't very exciting, but something that you'd never want to do a show without: safety pins. Do you know what? The amount of times a safety pin has got me out of, well, not necessarily me or a member of the cast or a prop that's falling apart or whatever, has got me out of trouble. Just pin it together. So I always like to have, not necessarily on my person, but nearby, I want to know whether I've got a little supply of safety pins just in case.
I feel the urge to ask you now, are they different sizes in an ideal world? Yeah,
absolutely. From the tiny, tiny, small brass ones to the massive nappy size.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. No, absolutely. They just wouldn't have made my top 5. You know?
Okay. Well, takes all sorts.
Absolutely.
What about then? Okay, let's go to number 3. Let's get to the serious stuff now. Top 3. What is it for you?
In at number 3 is a very practical item. It is my, now see, we'll have to find as many words as we can for this one because this will need some international translation. Extension cord, power cord,
multi-way,
any of the above. And I have a selection of them, but my favorite kind are the ones that have got the sockets, but have then also got USB ones in as well, so that you can plug other things that need a USB without taking up the room of a socket that's on it. So the one that is with me currently has got 6 bits that you can plug in and 2 USBs currently.
Hand on heart, I have never gone to work with an extension cord.
What posh people do you work for, Jackie George?
Oh my God. I know, it's normally I'm the one scrabbling around trying to work out what I can unplug, probably. That's the stress of it. But yeah. I might adopt it.
Well, and then if you'll allow me, if you'll indulge me to take it further, then when I'm traveling abroad, I can have my adapter on the plug-in part of the extension cord. So I can plug the extension cord in, and then all of my things that are all on 3-pin all just plug into the extension cord, and I'm not looking for an adapter for each item that I need to plug in. I seem to have managed not to blow up anywhere yet with that as a philosophy. Go on then, number 3.
Number 3 is maybe on a similar line to my number 4. And actually, I did have to have a sort of internal conversation with myself. And I was like, is that even questionable? That's not even like a nice bit of kit that I wouldn't do without. It's a necessity that should always be there. But it's got to be in there. I'm going to say it, gaffer. You can't do anything without gaffer tape, can you, really?
Well, no. And, and you can use it for a multitude of things, can't you?
Definitely.
It's not just useful for actually, a little bit of rolled up double-sided to create something tacky to join 2 things together. It's got its uses for sure.
Emergency fix. We all know that, if you need a quick term, short-term fix, bit of gaffer tape, and then you can sort out the problem when you've got some time. But in that heat of the moment, when you're in the middle of a show and something's gone a bit awry, stick it with gaffer. And a bit more gaffer and a bit more gaffer until it's more gaffer than actual prop, and then you can sort it out later.
Well, and let's face it, basically you've got it covered, haven't you, between your safety pins and your gaffer tape. But because I believe that you're a high quality stage manager, I'm imagining that you're talking about like nice matte black gaffer, not that horrible cheapy shiny. No, for people listening, she's making some kind of recoiling kind of facial expression in horror currently now.
It has to be Lamarck matte black.
See, that's the specifics that I'm into,
Good. Yes, absolutely. It has to be that. And I remember once, and I still got it in my tool bag. It was an ABTT show many years ago, and I don't think it was the most successful product, sadly. But I took the free sample because we all love a bit of ABTT for the free sample and the goodies. And it was a gaffer tape dispenser.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember. Yeah.
And you can attach it to your belt or your bum bag, whatever you might have on the day. And it's got strips of gaffer that must be about, a foot long or 30 centimetres, whether we're metric or imperial. And quick fix, you just rip off the bit of gaffer tape, and then you can fix it. You don't even have to take the time and effort to rip the tape. But sadly, I used up all of the sample pack by just demonstrating to people how quick it was to rip off the holder.
That's brilliant.
What's your number 2? Tell us your number 2.
Okay, so this is where we really see the Jackie and Antonia divide. My number 2, I literally would never consider going to work without it. is my best black jacket. And when I say my best black jacket, I've got more than one. So I've got a summer wear one, and I've got a winter wear one, and then I've got a spare, just in case. But in my defense, right, so when you work in opera, it's very common for you as the company stage manager to make on stage cast change announcements. So very early on as a stage manager, I found myself in the situation of having to go on stage and say, hello everybody, at tonight's performance the role of so and so will be played. And you know how in musicals that's often an offstage voice of God thing, or a program, or nowadays a board front of house, of course, but in opera they very it's quite traditional, and they very much stuck with this idea of somebody going out on stage. So of course, I suppose I kind of grew up with that idea then that I needed to have a black jacket to hand, because I could put a black jacket on over my show blacks and look pretty respectable to go out on stage. And I've kept that with me all the way through, because you're like, what if something happens that means I do have to go out and talk to the audience? And so I tend to put my black jacket, if my show calling stage manager is in the wing, I'll put it on the back of their chair because I know exactly where it is, or I'll hang it up in the wing and then I know I can grab it. I also use it though sometimes when we do stuff, unexpected stuff with donors or sponsors, or even if I've got my nice black jeans on and a black shirt, if I put the jacket on, I kind of feel like bit more professional. Do you know what I mean? It's a confidence thing. It's a confidence thing. I put the jacket on, it's my uniform, I can go out, I can talk to people, I can be that professional image of a stage manager, if you like. What about you? What's your number two?
My number two is actually something that you've mentioned earlier, but mine was a little further up, and it's my black steel toe cap trainers. That they're just essential for me. And actually, if I am going to spend or invest or save a bit of money to put towards that, I think that's where it's worth spending the money, because actually, it could, save an accident, or you don't matter how cautious you are as a stage manager or how, good you are at your safe working practice. You have to work with unknowns, and if you just comfy pair of trainers, look after your feet, you've got them on for long hours, job done. They're protected. And I want to know what's number one. Come on, tell me, what's your number one?
Well, this is totally indulgent, really, I think. And I am definitely not saying to people, you must have one in order to be a good stage manager. No. But I do have a smartwatch that I just adore. In fact, Jackie, I've got two. So I have a Garmin, right? So although I worship at the Apple altar for everything else, I didn't love the Apple Watch when I saw it, and I didn't think I needed one for work, and I wasn't really that bothered. And I got a Garmin for running because I'm a keen runner, and then realized that actually the Garmin was way more useful than I was imagining it to be. And the first time I did a tech rehearsal with it, I literally was like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my entire life. And the reason that is because obviously, your messages ping onto it. And I could look very quickly, decide if I needed to get my phone out of my bum bag or not, and just dismiss it or do something about it. Go on then, awesome. What's yours?
Well, it's not technological at all. I've only got the one, and if ever I lost this, I wouldn't know where to get another one. So I look after it with great affection. It's now let me get this description right, because it hasn't got a name, so I'm going to have to describe it. A folder clipboard. Okay, so it's a clipboard, regular clipboard, but you can open it and put things inside it. So quite often, if I'm doing a technical or a show, I'll have my cue sheet or my to-do list or whatever's sort of utmost importance for that day or week. And then within it, I might have my safety pins and my erasable pen and, well, not a roller gaffer, it's not that big. And similar to the Garmin, it was something that I didn't really know I'd find useful. And it was bought for me by a student, actually, to say thank you for something. Oh, about 10 years ago. I've got a quiz for you. I've got a quiz for you.
I'm scared now.
No, it's really easy, okay? But it might reveal lots about you.
Oh, God.
Have you ever played the quiz? You know when you go like tomato sauce mayonnaise, and you have to shout the first thing that comes into your head. We really get to know what your preferences are. So this is like the equivalent of stage management kit. So I'm going to give you two things. Okay. You have to tell me your favoured, your best choice out of these two things, okay? Mm-hmm. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions. First response, don't pause. What did Timmy Mallet used to say? No pause, no hesitation. Yeah, you got to go for it. Here we go. Gerber or Leatherman?
Oh, Leatherman.
Maglite or head torch?
Oh, see, I want to say both. But if you won't let me say both, I'm going to say head torch.
Ooh. Notepad or iPad?
Oh, this is so hard. Notepad, for all the reasons we've just said.
Podger or quad spanner?
Oh, God, neither. I am... Somebody handed me one once in a fit up, and I was like, what am I meant to do with that?
Next one. Staple gun or Kimball gun?
Oh, staple gun.
Pencil or pen?
Pencil.
iPhone or Android?
Oh, wash your mouth out. iPhone.
Mars or Twix?
Mars. What do you think those great things reveal about me then, Jackie George?
Well, I actually think you're quite a traditionalist.
Oh, go ahead. Please tell me.
And that's all from the Mars bar. No. No, but you went notepads, you know?
I did.
Yeah. Oh, you did go head torch though.
Yeah, I mean, I went, so I went head torch because my elder son might listen to this podcast. And for my 50th birthday, he bought me a brand new head torch. But he bought me the one that you can wear either on your head or you can wear it around your wrist.
So I used to have one of those, actually, the wrist ones. They're really good.
So I want to know, hang on then. So, right, this is not fair now. So what would your answers have been? Okay.
Gerber.
Oh.
I do like a Gerber. I think their level of customer service is amazing. Because I remember I broke the blade once on mine and, I was like, lifetime guarantee. This is not how it should be. So I sent it off. And it arrived back a week later with a new blade, all polished and cleaned, and so that's
I love the fact that you think I own either of those. I did use some Leatherman.
But you don't need to, because you can just go fight. You know what I mean? It'd be fine. And then I've got Maglite or head torch? Probably head torch. Notepad or iPad? Notepad for sure. Podger or quad spanner? Podger, because I like the pokey stick at the end on a podger. It gets you out of lots of things when you're trying to line up steel deck. Staple gun or Kimball gun? Kimball gun. It's a bit like a safety pin.
Yes.
Lots of tricky situations.
Yes. I was thinking a bit like your gaffer tape, though. You can fix a lot of things with a staple gun.
True.
I mean, maybe not staple gunning, costume to a performer, but in an emergency situation, a staple gun can be very useful.
True. Pencil or pen? Pen. My handwriting's atrocious with a pencil, unless I'm DSM. So obviously then it would always be pencil. iPhone. Mars or Twix? I'm going to go Twix. Cup of tea and a Twix.
Because it's like a biscuit.
Yeah. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Stand By Please. Join us next time when we'll be talking to Lou Platt from Artist Wellbeing. Until then, Jackie and Antonia, off cans.